Howdy folks, and welcome to another Taste of Gameplay video, this time for the European Tier 3 Tech Tree Cruiser, the Caradoc. As always, these videos are designed to give you a sample of the gameplay of the ship, not to be an exhaustive analysis. I recommend the Wargaming Wiki or other content creators. So, continuing on my day of mild illness and choosing these ships that I didn't think anyone would find all that terribly interesting, I even went to the Wargaming Wiki, as I always recommend you guys do, before the game. And unless I miss my guess, it seems like there's absolutely nothing written about the Caradoc. It literally has nothing to say about the Caradoc, which I found fully appropriate. And so I was completely prepared to just have like a really dull, boring game. And I'm not going to say this game is particularly fascinating, but I actually found I really liked the Caradoc. I don't know that it's going to dethrone the Katori as my number one favorite cruiser, because the Katori has its own thing going on with the super accurate railgun thing. The Katori is amazingly effective, but I really enjoyed the Caradoc, and I think it reminded me of why I like European cruisers so much. Normally I say I like them at least partially because of the smokes. The Caradoc doesn't have the smoke, because I don't think any tier 3 cruisers have any smoke. But it turns out I like it just as much as like the Perth or the Svea. And I think it comes down to just them feeling like Swiss Army knives. Like you always have the right tool for the job. They don't, I suppose, do anything all that amazingly well, but they do everything sort of above averagely. Like, the Caradoc is the ship I would give you if World of Warships ever turned into a fully arcade game and you just were like the protagonist and you were sailing around sinking, the entire Japanese Navy or something. It's fast for tier 3, which is actually one of the really annoying things about the Katori is it's so slow. This thing goes 31 knots, which is not anything to write home about, but actually that feels pretty good at tier 3. The guns are okay. I mean, they're not going to impress anybody, but you get 5 of them. The reload's all right. The damage is not bad. Like, they're serviceable. The torpedoes are actually really excellent. You get 4 launchers, each of which has 2 torpedoes on 2 different sides, and they reload pretty fast. I think it's 41 seconds, and they do 10,000 damage each, and they go out to 6 kilometers, which is perfectly serviceable at tier 3. Like, they're probably the best thing about the ship. The concealment is all right, not that it really matters at tier 3. You have a reasonable number of hit points. The armor's nothing special, but then that's always true at tier 3. I don't know. It's a maneuverable, fun, responsive, flexible ship, and I had a good game in it, including against players. It's obviously easy to do well against bots, but the torpedoes being really good are super helpful for bots, right? The easiest way to clean out a bunch of bots is just use torpedoes. So the faster the torpedoes reload and the more damage they do, the more likely you are to be able to just clean out a bunch of bots. And of course, torpedoes are useful against players too, but that's where the guns come in. And yeah, I mean, the guns are not anything particularly impressive, but they're fine. They do okay. They have pretty good pen. Yeah. So, in a way that makes this video maybe a little bit more boring, because I don't have anything really, really obvious to say, except that driving the Caradoc feels nice. I mean, you can see I'm sort of spinning around in a circle here and just launching torpedoes at everybody, and trying to avoid getting torpedoed myself. That's the main danger against bots. I know the St. Louis doesn't have any torpedoes. Not having any torpedoes at tier 3 in a cruiser, by the way, just huge buzzkill. Huge buzzkill. Kind of a buzzkill at all tiers, honestly, to not have torpedoes, but definitely at tier 3. Like right here, this St. Louis might have been able to ram me if I didn't have those torpedoes. Kind of one reason I wasn't crazy about the St. Louis. Well, I didn't play the St. Louis yet, but the Charleston, which is basically a premium St. Louis, doesn't have torpedoes. And the guns are way better, but like, I don't know, that's not as exciting as I want it to be. Like, I feel like I have the upper hand against this player in the St. Louis just because I can just torpedo him, and he's really slow. I'm faster than he is. So I can choose the moment of engagement. Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot more hit points than I do. He's got better armor than I do. He's got more guns than I do. But I have way better speed, and I have torpedoes. And this poor Mikasa, I mean, again, you know, that video about the Mikasa did pretty well on my channel, and it's still, I think, the highest damage output I have in any ship that I have made a video for. I mean, it's obviously not my personal damage record, but just in terms of the games I'm showing, I think I did 160,000 damage or something in the Mikasa. And I made pains in that video to say, you know, that doesn't mean this is a good ship, and this you're going to see why. Because against players, you just absolutely get manhandled. Mikasa can't do anything. So yeah, you know, if you have an interest in making a habit of playing tier 3, I think you could do a lot worse than the Caradoc. And of course, the nice thing is it's a tech tree ship, so you don't even have to do anything to get it, right? If you're a new player, I think the Caradoc would be a great choice to just practice how to use cruisers. And in general, I think cruisers are probably the most, I was going to say the most challenging, and I think that's true, most challenging, but really, what am I trying to say? I think if you master cruisers, it's a lot easier to go to a different class like destroyers or battleships because they're the most balanced, and you kind of have to understand everything in the game. Like when you're in a destroyer, you don't really need to understand, for example, the way armor and penetration works because your guns are never going to pen anything anyway. So there's no point. But in a cruiser, there isn't really anything about the game that you don't need to understand, at least to some degree. You need to understand torpedoes, you need to understand armor, you need to understand guns and detection, because they do a little bit of all of that. So I think cruisers are a good place to start in World of Warships because it makes it so much easier to go any direction you want. If you can handle this, then, you know, I don't think you'll find battleships hard. Yeah, this poor guy. I mean, the only chance he has here really is to like just completely obliterate me with guns, but he doesn't quite have that level of firepower. Like, his guns are strong, don't get me wrong. And then this Wickus, I mean, he needed to hit me with those torpedoes. And he didn't, and so now he's kind of toast. I don't know why he's not firing his guns. He should at least be trying. I think what he's trying to do is back up so he can get around and fire the other rack of torpedoes, but he's not going to get a chance. The game's actually going to end, and then we're going to sink him. So yeah, anyway, that's the Caradoc. I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would. It's one of the fun things about this series is I get to play these ships that I would just never play in any other setting. So I hope you enjoyed that one. A little bit of tier 3 for my quote-unquote day off, and I will see you guys in the next video.